Now, the crowds were expected to be out on the streets of Caracas today to hail the inauguration of Hugo Chavez for the fourth time as president of Venezuela. The crowds have been there, but no inauguration and no Chavez, of course, as he remains in hospital in Cuba undergoing cancer treatment. Our Washington correspondent Matt Fry is in Caracas tonight. Matt.
Well, Chris, it's been another very odd day here. We had a mock mass inauguration for a president who was simply too ill to show up. 3 regional leaders, the presidents of Bolivia, Uruguay and Nicaragua, who all rely on cheap Venezuelan oil, did show up for a swearing-in that never took place. And the government insists that officially Hugo Chavez is not only alive, but also in charge of running this country, even though we haven't seen him or heard him for a month. Welcome to the next chapter of Venezuela's surreal transition of power. I am Chavez, we are all Chavez, his supporters chant as they head to the center of Caracas to pay homage to their absent leader. Hugo Chavez is already being transformed from human being to state of mind. Whether he's dead or alive, and who can be sure these days, the man is morphing into a myth. And for the true believers, Chavez is immortal, and Chavismo is already like a religion. The president may not achieve resurrection, but for now, reincarnation as an action man will do the trick. So what he's saying to me, which I've heard from so many people, is that you can have Chavismo without Chavez and the revolution will continue. So like so many others here, this man is convinced that Chavez is going to get better and that he will return to the palace over there one day soon. The presidential palace is missing its tenant. The podium, which had been set up to celebrate the inauguration, is missing its guests, and yet everyone here is behaving as if nothing has changed. The point of this demonstration is to basically say to the opposition, don't mess with us. We're in charge. Whether he's alive or dead, whether he's coming back or not, the revolution continues. This was a mass exercise in make-believe. But what about the reality beyond? We headed to the western slums. So the only way to get around Caracas is on one of these because the traffic is so appalling that if you're in a car, you get stuck for hours. The majority of people in this city were not at the demonstration, but going about their daily grind. This was a queue for bread, flour and sugar. Average waiting time, 2 hours. ¿Le gusta Chavez a usted?
No, a mí no me gusta Chavez, a mí me gusta mi marido.
She asked if she liked Chavez, and she said, I don't like Chavez, I like my husband. She likes her husband and she likes Chavez. What will these people think and do if and when the charisma of Chavez becomes a distant memory? That is the question that's keeping the government awake at night. No wonder that state television is playing Chavez homilies on a loop. They sound and look like obituaries in everything but name. You might think that Chavez's absence is a golden opportunity for the opposition, but they've lost the will to oppose. They're intimidated by crowds like this, and they know they would lose a confrontation on the streets as they just did in the polls. The president may be dead. Long live the president. So this is a very oil-rich nation of over 30 million citizens, and we really have no idea who is in charge of running this country. The vice president can't be sworn in because the president hasn't been sworn in. The leader of the National Assembly can't start a caretaker government because that would acknowledge that Hugo Chavez isn't fit to run this country. The opposition has been cowed by a potent mixture of myth and malice, and the government, suffice it to say, is buying as much time as possible, either hoping that Chavez makes a miraculous recovery or that they can get someone else used to running this country and get the people used to seeing new faces in power. It is a power vacuum, Krish, the likes of which I have never seen before.
Thanks, Matt.